we play a game?
Why, yes. I believe we shall.
Oh, I got a live one here.
Welcome to Shane Plays Radio, coming at you live on 96.5 FM The Answer out of Little Rock, Arkansas. You can also always listen online on 96.5 FMTheAnswer.com and on your iHeartRadio or TuneIn Radio apps on your smartphone. Listen, this is live talk radio. It's Geek Talk Radio, but it's also live radio, and you can call in at 501-823-0965 during the show. Glad to take your calls. That's 501-823-0965, or you can tweet me at Shane Plays. That's Shane like my name, and plays like plays stuff. Shane Plays. That's my tweet. Now listen, another thing I always do for every show, I think last week I missed it, but every other show I've done it, and I continue to do it. The notes and the links for today's shows are up on my website at shaneplays.com right now. So as we're talking about stuff, you can go there, go to shaneplays.com. There's a post there, and it has notes and links on what we're talking about. So if you miss something or if you want to learn more about something we're talking about, it's right there. Shane Plays does have sponsors. So blessed and glad to have them. But we also let listeners support the show through Patreon. And you can do that with as little as $1 per show, and it's very much appreciated. I'm trying to strike a blend of sponsors and listener support to ensure the show stays smoothly on the air to infinity and beyond. And that's patreon.com/shaneplays, and that link is also on shaneplays.com. This show will go out as a podcast always, either tonight or tomorrow. And it goes out on my blog. And go to shaneplays.com. It's there. You can find it on iTunes. You can find it on Stitcher. And you can find it on many other podcast directories as well. And starting this week, we announced it last week, but starting this week, Shane Plays is also now carried on Krypton Radio. Krypton Radio is sci-fi for your Wi-Fi. Go there, KryptonRadio.com. Super, super cool stuff. It's 24/7 sci-fi radio. I listen to it a lot. Super excited to be on there. So go to KryptonRadio.com. So got a little bit of news here. And right before we get to the news, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do today. After our first break, we're going to have an interview with Shanna and Germain from Monte Games. They're going to talk about their current Kickstarter for the role-playing game Numenera. And then our interview after that, our main interview of the day, is Adam Dayton and his crew from the Fragments of Silicon podcast. And Fragments of Silicon is your weekly vertical slice of gaming and geek culture. So these guys are cool. I've known them for a while. Looking forward to having them on the show. But before we get to all that, let's have a little bit of news. What do we got going on in the news? There we go. Those guys work so hard. Speaking of working hard, man in the board today, we got Zach. Say hi, Zach.
What's up?
What's up? That's Zach. All right, so that's Zach working things. Kendall, who has been manning the bridge of the Starship Enterprise, is moving on. We're going to miss Kendall, but we got Zach, who seems to be a capable helmsman for the bridge of the Starship Enterprise there. So welcome to the show, Zach. And go ahead. Yeah, man. Yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward to working with you. So, and I've already given Zach free reign to banter, so he can banter at will. All right, so we have some news items here. First, for the Doctor Who fans, got the Doctor Christmas. But now, first of all, the Doctor Who, I think is it Series 9? In England, they call them series. We call them seasons here. But I think Season 9 or Series 9 is coming, I think, September 21st, which is exciting in its own right. It'll be the second full Peter Capaldi as the Doctor series, if you will. But they always do a Christmas special for Doctor Who. And this year, River Song, who is a very popular character on the show and is also the Doctor's wife, and it's just very complicated and convoluted, like most things Doctor Who are. She will be on the Christmas special. That's big. That's big news for Doctor Who fans. So got a couple of Star Wars items that are very cool that I want to mention. One is, and this is both good and bad. There's going to be some people who are happy about this, and there's going to be some people who are upset about this. but the canon, if you will, and canon is actually a religious term that refers to what books are applicable to a religion, but it's been adapted by fandom to mean what stuff is quote unquote real for a particular fandom. So Star Trek has its canon, Star Wars has its canon, Doctor Who has its canon. Well, the Star Wars canon, CANON, is being reset starting yesterday. There's a new book that came out called Aftermath, and it takes up literally the moment after Return of the Jedi ends. Like, I think they're still celebrating down on Endor, believe it or not. So, and they're setting up to lead into The Force Awakens, the new movies that are coming out. So, but the bad news is there's about 20 something years of what's called the extended universe, people writing books and comic books and stuff that George Lucas was cool with. You know, as much crud as he catches, people give him a hard time. He was extremely cool about the fans doing stuff and also other authors and stuff playing in his universe. Disney's wiping all that out, the good and the bad. There was some good stuff, there was the bad stuff. It's gone. So we're having a new canon moving forward as of Return of the Jedi, and it began yesterday with this new book, Aftermath. So another Star Wars news item. Yesterday is what's called Force Friday. And that's where they released all the new toys, or a lot of new toys for The Force Awakens, and the articles and stuff I've seen, it's just a wasteland of people just hitting the toys and leaving stuff just scattered. I mean, people hit it like piranha on a cow. So it was pretty crazy. I was actually at Walmart last night picking up something else, and I saw some of the toys and they look pretty cool. I didn't buy any. Probably should have. I probably could turn around and eBay it, but I didn't. I didn't see anything that I really felt like I wanted to have. And I've left I buy something just to collect it so I can sell it thing behind quite a while back. Last, Wes Craven, the man behind Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream, died at 76 this week. I could probably do a whole episode on stuff he's done, but interesting guy. There's links for all these news items on the blog at shaneplays.com, including there's a link there. You can learn more about Wes Craven. I will say that the concept of Nightmare on Elm Street series started becoming, kind of goofy and comical, but the first one, the concept and the execution was pretty scary, and Scream was extremely well done. And he definitely influenced a lot of films and filmmakers. Last, I want to give a shout out to our contest winner from last week. We gave away Courtesy Game Goblins, our sponsor, who we'll read an ad for later in the show. We gave away a copy of the game Codenames, and he was the first person to tweet the word Codenames to my Twitter. Is Stephen Gamble of Conway, Arkansas, and he did give me permission to use his name. And thank you very much for entering and listening to the show, Stephen. You will get that game soon. We're going to cut to a break, and when we get back, we're going to have an interview with Shanna Germain of Numenera.
Comic book stores meet all of your comic book needs with friendly service. Comic book lovers, Michael Tierney's local comic book stores meet all of your comic book needs with friendly service. Visit the comic book store on Treasure Hill Road in Little Rock or Collector's Edition on JFK Boulevard in North Little Rock. And don't forget to click on over to the wildstars.com website. I personally have been a customer of Michael's since the mid-'80s, and I trust him for my reserve list still today. Michael knows comics. In addition to being in business for 34 years, he has written multiple columns for comic magazines, is an Overstreet price guide advisor, and publishes his own comic book series, The Wild Stars. Trust me, these stores are run by a comic book lover for comic book lovers. Remember, for all of your comic book needs with friendly service and to get your copies of The Wild Stars, make sure to visit the comic book store on Treasure Hill Road in Little Rock or Collector's Edition on JFK Boulevard in North Little Rock, and visit thewildstars.com to learn more.
Megawars.net. The classic online space strategy game has returned, bigger and better than ever before. Scout the universe and claim your empire. Construct, customize, and launch dozens of different starships. battle thousands of opponents online in a team-based competition leading to the ultimate battle of the galaxies. Grab your slot today in one of the most hotly anticipated indie games of 2015. Visit megawars.net and get options only available during our pre-sale event running now. megawars.net.
JLM Tree Servicing can take care of your tree servicing needs. Contact them at 501-351-7714, online at jlmservicing.com, and on Facebook. Do you have limbs touching the roof or killing your grass with too much shade? Leaves collecting in the pool or gutters? Need to remove that unsightly dead tree? JLM Servicing is insured, provides free estimates, serves all of Central Arkansas, and doesn't collect payment until job well done. JLM Tree Servicing, 501-351-7714. Find them online at jlmservicing.com or on Facebook.
In business for over 15 years, the Hillcrest Doghouse provides full grooming, bathing, boarding, and daycare services for just about all breeds with knowledgeable and friendly staff, including a licensed groomer with over 10 years experience. The Hillcrest Doghouse uses all natural shampoos, including a pesticide-free flea shampoo. All kennels are situated where we work, which means your companion is rarely left alone, providing the benefit of full interaction with our friendly staff. Additionally, we walk your dog at least 3 times a day to ensure a happy day. Grooming and boarding packages are also available at great prices. The Hillcrest Doghouse is located at 3924 West Markham Street in Little Rock. Call the Hillcrest Doghouse at 501-296-9800. That's 501-296-9800. We're also on Facebook. Find us and like us.
All right, and we're back. Listen, don't forget, folks, if we're blessed to have these sponsors. So please consider supporting them. They do. If you like this show and you like the fact that there's a Geek Talk radio show on live broadcast terrestrial radio, which there's not a lot of them, please support our sponsors. There are a lot of good ones in there. And also, remember, you can always support if you want. You don't have to. I'll never charge for the show, but if you want to, you can always support us at patreon.com/ShanePlays with as little as $1 per show. What we're going to do now is, and this is kind of rare for the show, I try to do my guests live, and the guest on the second part of the show will be live, Adam Dayton and the crew from Fragments of Silicon. But this first interview with Shanna Germain of Monte Cook Games with their Numenera, which is a very, very cool, very elegant role-playing game, tabletop role-playing game system that's gaining a lot of ground. The way the timing and everything worked out, we had to record it beforehand, and I wanted to get it out before their Kickstarter ends here in, I think, 4 days. Now, Shanna and Chris Avalone, who we had on a few weeks ago, who's a well-known game writer, is also big into Numenera, and he's working on Numenera Tides of Torment, or Torment Tides of Numenera, computer RPG. They'll be on the show on the 19th. So September 19th, we'll have a whole show with them. But for now, we just have this interview with Shanna. It's about 9 to 10 minutes long. So let's go ahead and go into that, Zach.
All right, so I'm here with Shanna Germain. Am I saying that right, Shanna?
That's perfect. Hello.
Right, from Monte Cook Games. And we're going to, just so people know, on September 19th, Shanna is going to be joining us again on Shane Plays Radio, along with Chris Avalone, to talk about Numenera on the entire show. But what we're going to be talking about the next few minutes is a Kickstarter that Numenera has going. Now, if I understand right, basically all of Numenera's products, or every, I guess, product related to Numenera has started with a Kickstarter. Is that correct?
Most of them. I mean, we do some glimmers and other products that aren't Kickstarted, but the entire thing really started with a Kickstarter 3 years ago. Monte was like, I have this idea for a game. I don't know if anybody's going to want it. I'm going to Kickstart it and see. And, the Kickstarter did $500,000 and really kickstarted that game, the whole game line, and a company. And so we actually just put out the final book from that first Kickstarter. And so now this Kickstarter is launching as sort of a second line of Kickstarter products and is doing just as well as the first one, which is kind of awesome and wonderful.
So the new Kickstarter is kind of bringing, it's still the Ninth World, but it's going to allow adventures not just on land, I guess, if you will. So would you like to tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. One of the things that people really were intrigued about were, in the Ninth World Guidebook in particular, we had some elements of the sky and what's in the sky and what do the planets look like and what still exists. And then we've also had an adventure under the sea, and we had some under the sea elements. And people were just really excited. They wanted to know more. And so we thought, okay, well, let's make a book about the sky. And then we started thinking deeper, and we were like, well, what if we just did this whole thing where we went into the sky and under the ocean and into this sort of other place realms that you don't normally get to. And so that's the Kickstarter we launched. And we started with 3 books, which are Into the Night, which is all, planets and ships and weird technologies that have existed for who knows how long that are out there. And then Into the Deep, which is underwater and the sea and the creatures and ancient technologies that are buried in the ocean floor. And then Into the Outside, which is sort of just way out there, whatever, places that you can't easily perceive and that you can get to in really weird and interesting ways.
All right. So it's basically, is it 3 books that this covers?
Well, it started with 3.
So you started with 3. Okay.
And now we're up to 5 books and a card deck, plus a bunch of maps and PDFs and, other like supplement books and a whole bunch of other things. But it started with 3 books.
All right. So, yeah, that's one thing I was going to point out. And this doesn't mean people should not go support this project, because the more support that the Kickstarter gets, the more cool stuff that comes along. But you started out and y'all were looking for $20,000.
Right.
And I'm looking at it right now, and this is August 17th at basically 5 p.m. Central, and you're at $176,000 and $176,518. And when I looked at it earlier today, it was at $173,000. Now, so it's definitely, that shows how enthusiastic people are for this game and these products. Now, but that doesn't mean, hey, stop. Because I've already seen, just in the past few hours, Monte Cook Games has already added another stretch goal that wasn't there before. Just in the past few hours, because earlier the stretch goal stopped at Into the Outside poster map, which is a Kickstarter exclusive poster map for Into the Outside, and explore alternate dimensions within and beyond the Ninth World. And that was it, and there was a question mark, and now a collector's slipcase add-on has been added if you hit $190,000.
Yeah, the thing I love about Kickstarter is that it allows us to fulfill our dreams, right? And we can hear from fans and we can fulfill their dreams and we can take all these risks. Like fans are like, we want a collector's slipcase. And, traditionally those are so expensive and we wouldn't know if anyone wanted them. And now we can be like, hey, if you want this thing, let us know and we can make this thing.
So I wanted to ask about the Kickstarter itself, as far as how y'all put it together. I watched the pitch video.
Oh yeah.
Which was, it's like the pitch video that isn't. And what it is, and I'm curious, A, who wrote this, and B, who read it. It's actually like kind of a short story. It's like
right.
It's 2 or 3 minutes of somebody narrating this story, this scene in outer space, and it's got kind of real subtle animations going along with it. And instead of saying, hey, here's what we're trying to do, like you and Monte and Bruce or whoever are standing in front of a video camera going, hey, this is what we want to do. Instead, you just told a story from the setting. And I thought it was extremely well done, to the point where I was like, I would like to see like this is a web series or something. So how did that come about?
So, we have done the videos where we sort of say, here's what we're doing and support us. And one of the things that we always want to do as a company is be on the forefront, be innovative, right? We've got 6 creators, creative people who are working on this. And, we had sort of done the please back our Kickstarter kind of video. And I was looking at some book trailers actually for fiction books. And there was this, sometimes book trailers aren't very good, but there was this one book trailer that was amazing. And it just did that sort of thing where it told the beginning of the story and I was totally hooked. And I said, we should consider doing something like this for the video. And then Monte wrote the story and read the story, and Bear, our graphic designer, we thought he was just going to put some art in there, but because we have a team of people who are sort of go all the way, he was like, look, I made this video and it has animation. And we were just like, holy cow,
yeah,
that's
it was really cool. I want to know what is going to happen next. I mean, really, I did, because he's like, basically it's they're in their spaceship and they're talking about how amazingly wonderful the solar system of the ninth world is, but also how incredibly dangerous it is. And then they say, but that's the same with Earth. And then he's talking about, there's this, these aliens are so close on him that he can feel their breath. But then he's like, well, I don't even know if they breathe. And then he's like, why are they trying to kill us? And it's just done really well. I mean, so that was Monte reading that. Was that correct?
Yeah, he was narrating it. Yep.
Well, I for one, and you can pass this on if you want, I want like a web series of that. I think that people would watch, I really think that people would watch that, like little 5-minute snippets on YouTube or something. So I thought it was really well done. So, and please compliment Monte and the animator, and I know there was their time put in the music and everything. What I'm going to do real quick, I'm going to play about 20 seconds of that video.
Acceleration pressed my body against the vessel's interior wall. The nightcraft sped higher and higher into the sky, toward the stars and into the night itself. But I had no time to bask in that wonder. Sorg warbreakers loomed so close behind us, I could feel their breath. If Sorg breathed, that is, and I wasn't sure that they did. So much had happened since we left the grasp of Earth and visited the sons of their children. The ancient vessel sighed and moaned as it had since its resurrection, speaking to us with a voice that hadn't been heard for millions of years.
Yeah, I love that. If they breathed, that is, and I wasn't sure that they did. That's such a great line. So, all right. So, is there anything else that you'd like to mention about the Kickstarter?
Well, I think that we of course want to we want this Kickstarter to go as high as it can, because that means we get to make more stuff, right? Which is always our real goal. And we're doing something that we've done in the past with this Kickstarter where if you sort of back at the level where you get all the things, then you continue to get all the things, right? So the people who originally paid a certain amount to get 3 books are now for that amount getting 5 books and a card deck and all of the other stuff that we've added in. And so we want to reward our backers by giving them as much as we can afford to give them, to sort of say thank you for supporting us, right? Because Kickstarters you have to have a lot of trust and a lot of faith, and our backers have that in us, and we're so grateful for that.
All right, so that was Shanna Germain of Monte Cook Games talking about Numenera and their current Kickstarter. You can go to shaneplays.com and look at the show notes for today's show, and get her Twitter and links to Monte Cook Games and the Kickstarter. But you can also just go search for Numenera Into the Ninth World Kickstarter, and you'll find it. So we really appreciate Sean, and looking forward to having her and Chris Avalone back on the show for a full show on the 19th. Now I'm gonna tell you about one of my sponsors. New sponsor starting last week, Game Goblins. And after that, we'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to have the guys from Adam Dayton and the crew and the guys from Fragments of Silicon podcast. So looking forward to that. But let me tell you about Game Goblins. Some goblins are your friends. Game Goblins is Central Arkansas's premier retailer of Magic the Gathering, Warhammer 40K, board games, card games, RPGs, miniatures, and hobby accessories. Call Game Goblins at 501-224-GAME or visit them online at gamegoblins.com. That's 501-224-GAME or gamegoblins.com. Conveniently located at 1121 South Bowman, right on the corner of Bowman and Canis in West Little Rock, and staffed by friendly employees, Game Goblins has expanded their store size, and there's plenty of room for exciting inventory and tables for play space. You'll like that space because Game Goblins has gaming events every day of the week. For all your gaming needs, I heartily recommend Game Goblins. Make sure to check out their customer loyalty program, and I'll tell you about another way to save here in a second. The customer loyalty program that rewards you based on your actual purchases. Game Goblins earns your business and keeps it. Now listen, first-time customers, mention Shane Plays. That's right, mention Shane Plays and receive $10 off your purchase of $50 or more. Call Game Goblins at 501-224-GAME or visit them online at gamegoblins.com. That's 501-224-GAME or gamegoblins.com. What are you waiting for? Get your game on and head on over to Game Goblins at the corner of Bowman and Canis in West Little Rock. Now, tell them Shane Plays sent you. All right, Zach, let's hit a break, and when we come back, we're going to have Adam and the crew from Fragments of Silicon.
Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/Shane Plays.
No matter what the weather is outside, let Chapman Service take care of your comfort inside. See your participating independent Trane dealer or visit Trane.com for complete program eligibility, dates, details, and restrictions. Chapman Service, all you want in a heating and air conditioning company, nothing you don't.
Did you know that your business can provide its employees with the same benefits packages as even the largest Fortune 500 companies, often at no direct cost to you, the business owner, and while saving money at the same time? If you've always thought that you would like to offer those big company benefits to your employees but thought that there was no way, let our team at the Make 'em Teague Agency come by and show you how it can be possible and how simple it is to put into place. We offer major medical and group and individual plans, on or off exchange, dental and vision, life products, cancer, accident, and more. These benefits create that ever so priceless commodity known as loyalty. And yes, we are ACA certified. We even offer these same benefits on the individual basis if you're just a one-person entrepreneur or making things happen on your own. Give us a call today at 501-838-6827 to schedule your no-obligation on-site consultation. The Make 'em Teague Agency is serving all of Arkansas and surrounding states. 501-838-6827. Give us 1% of your trust and we'll earn the other 99. Privately owned and licensed by the Arkansas State Police, Rock City Alarm Company has been in business since 1996, specializing in sales, installation, servicing, and monitoring of burglar alarms and fire alarms for the state of Arkansas. Rock City Alarm provides service for residential and commercial alarms, and now provides cellular monitoring with remote arm and disarm. Just call John Hardiman at 501-541-8747. That's John Hardiman at 501-541-8747.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Shane Plays Radio, Geek Talk Radio. It's a journey into the things that we love. Right now, holding with bated breath and in high anticipation, is Adam Dayton and the crew of the Fragments of Silicon podcast. Fragments of Silicon is a weekly, and sometimes more than weekly, depending on their schedule, weekly or more vertical slice of gaming goodness and geek culture. But I'll let them clarify that if I got that wrong. You can find them, the links, I'll let them give out their information as well. But the links for how to find them are on the show notes at shaneplays.com. Adam and everybody, are you with me? All right, we don't have them yet. Looks like Scotty in engineering is waving his tricorder at the board to get everything going. This is when we call Shane gets to ad-lib. Y'all want to hear my favorite bad joke? My favorite bad joke. Here's my favorite bad joke. Man walks into a bar. Says, ouch. Did you get it? That's my favorite bad joke in the world. Well, let me tell you a little bit more about Fragments of Silicon while we're waiting on getting the guys. I see that they're on the line, and I see everybody frantically working to get their audio onto the station. But what Fragments of Silicon does is they interview. I think we're good now. I think I heard one of the guys there. Adam and crew, do I have you?
Hey, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. That's Adam. Did I hear Ogre?
Right.
Did I hear Ogre?
Yeah.
Even on other people's broadcasts, we break the show.
You break the show. I love it. Okay, so I know that Adam was coming. He said he was going to bring some people. So who do we have today?
All right. Guys, introduce yourselves.
Well, I guess I'll go first since I was the first one to say anything. I'm Elemental Ogre.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome.
I'm McCollix.
McCollix?
Gollux. G-O-L-U-X.
G-O-L-L-U-X. It's interesting to talk to you guys. I listen to your show fairly often. Now, which one of you guys is it that does the music, that plays off the music?
That'd be me, Petty Fan.
Petty Fan.
Yeah.
Okay. So so we have 4 people. Have I got everybody?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We are the regular standing crew of Fragments of Silicon.
Okay.
There's other people involved in the show, but they're not really active on the broadcast right now.
Okay. So, and there's one other person I hear mentioned pretty often, and I think Elemental Ogre actually kind of works with him on Let's Plays, but there's a guy named Naka that y'all mention fairly often. You do some stuff with him, right, Ogre?
Yes, I do co-op Let's Plays with Naka on his channel on YouTube, which is Noctilili.
Okay, because
Hi, Shane here. This is actually a note within the podcast. This was not part of the live broadcast. What I'm about to say during the live broadcast is that Naka and Elemental Ogre's YouTube channel has over 30 subscribers. What I meant to say was over 30,000. So as a matter of fact, I'm looking right now. It's Naka Talili, and they have 35,030 subscribers. So my bad, and many mea culpas to Naka and Elemental Ogre. And now, as they say, we now return you to your regular scheduled broadcast.
You know, I actually went and checked out that y'all have like 30-something followers. That's nothing to sneeze at. That's pretty good.
We're up to 30?
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty good. So anyway, Adam, as the somewhat and I'm using this term loosely, ringleader, at least you kind of keep things organized on y'all's broadcast. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Fragments of Silicon and what you do?
All right. So Fragments of Silicon is a video game related podcast where we not only talk about video game related minutia, but we interview people within the industry.
Right.
So it's like everyone from the up and coming indie developer to AAA developers and publishers have appeared on our program.
Right.
Like just last week, we had somebody from Bandai Namco on our program.
Nice.
You know, and they're AAA.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I've heard y'all have had the what could be described, I guess, as the starving artist video developer, designer, all the way up to, like you said, AAA. You've also had I know you had Hairbrain Studios on with their Shadowrun and their BattleTech.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had Hairbrain Schemes on a couple of weeks ago, and we're going to have them back on in October, and they're going to be talking about their BattleTech Kickstarter. And I know a lot of people are looking forward to that.
Cool. Okay. And then you'll do, based on my experience of the show, sometimes you'll have people, you usually have people on and interview them, and I always enjoy your interviews. Then you'll first y'all just kind of catch up with what's going on in your personal lives. And I'm absolutely riveted. I'm not sure if it's Ogres, somebody's, they're constantly having a battle with the city over their yard. And I'm just.
That would be Petty Fan.
The Petty Fan. Yeah. It's just the unfolding drama. It's like no matter what, the city keeps coming down on you. So you're like, what's going to happen next? And it's literally like, I want to know what's going to happen next. And then there for a while, Adam was wrestling with putting together like a bed frame or something. That was an ongoing thing. So a part of the show that I really enjoy, and I do enjoy the interviews, is just, you guys talk about what's going on, and you'll mention, hey, Naka's working on this, or I put together this model or something like that. And I enjoy that part of the show.
Right. And
then you'll go into you'll have an interview, and then you usually have a topic of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, but then sometimes we're just doing a review, or we're doing, sometimes you'll have kind of a one-off episode that is kind of breaks format, and you're more doing a review, maybe a little bit shorter. And then if I remember right, here lately, you're actually having more shows because you're trying to get European guests on that are at different time zones.
Right. So, when we broadcast live every Wednesday at 9 o'clock, and that's Eastern. And so that's about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, depending on where you are in Europe. We have problems getting guests on at that time for obvious reasons. So recently we launched what we call the Part A's. It's a broadcast where we set things up at Tuesdays, 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern, so we can have a guest on who lives in, say, London or Denmark, or, anywhere from Europe or down in Africa. Anyone who would be on our broadcast about, 4 o'clock in the morning. Like, we're having one this week, Russ Bierley of Ghostlight. They're the ones who brought over the Argarest series on PC and did Way of the Samurai 4.
Okay.
And
go ahead.
And we've got one coming up with the Square Enix Collective at the end of the month.
Okay, nice. Very nice. So and you're calling those Part A's because then you follow it up the same week with your regular, right? Your regular show, which you're calling a Part B that week. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's neat. Yeah, that's very cool.
The standalone reviews are usually on Sunday because that's when we do our show planning meetings anyway. And we usually do those when we interview someone about a game, but the game isn't out yet. When the game comes out, we review it.
Mm-hmm. And like this past Sunday, we reviewed Shadowrun Hong Kong. And this Sunday, like tomorrow, we're going to be reviewing a game called One Piece Pirate Warriors 3.
Okay. All right. So what now I want to ask each of you, I want each of you to answer this. And then when you answer it, I also want you to tell me what your role in the show is. Because I've listened a few times and, I've got a decent idea. But, when Adam, Elemental Ogre, Golix, and Pettyfan, all of you answer this one after the other and then also tell me what your role on the show is. Because the first question that Adam always hits with people is what got you into games or game development. So I want to ask each of you, what got you into the games? Because obviously games is a passion so much that you do this. And then also tell me your role on the show. So I guess starting with Adam.
Yeah. All right. Well, how I got into games was through my father. Like, I've been around games literally my whole life. Some of my earliest memories are playing on an Atari 2600. Or, and I remember when we got an NES, my dad had computer games. Like, it's just always been a facet of my life. And I've always, really enjoyed video games. As far as how we got into, video game broadcasting, that's a whole series of events related to our other show, MSD Moonhawk Studios Presents. And as far as my role on the show, well, I am the producer, I am the host.
Okay. So you're the producer/host. And it grew out, there was the other, was it Starship Moonhawk Presents? Was that the other show?
Moonhawk Studios Presents.
Okay, and then so Fragments of Silicon was a segment that grew into its own show?
More or less. It's once we got Knock on Ogre on MSP, it was decided that we would have a video game segment, which ran for a few years, and then got spun off into its own show because it proved to be popular, and the classic version of MSP was starting to wind down. It's back now on Fridays.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Also, the shows were just getting super long.
Yes.
So it just makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, so the show got spun off about almost 2 years ago now.
All right.
And the initial crew that was on Fragments was kind of different than the one we got now. Like, Naka was an active part of the show. He had to drop out because he's got a lot of other things going on right now, but he still promotes.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, good.
And our first musical director, Keith, had to drop out because his obligations, and our executive producer, Mac, he had to drop out because of his own scheduling. So, and we picked up Petty and Golix. So this has been the crew for about a year now.
And how long is the show? Have you been broadcasting total? Like in total?
Oh, my own personal.
I'm talking. I guess Fragments of Silicon in general, like both as a part of another show and then as its own thing. Like, how long has it actually been going?
Since about 2011.
Okay.
Like about January of 2011 was when the segment first started, and 2013 is when it got spun off.
Okay.
So about 4 years in total.
All right. Well, cool. All right. Thanks, Adam. So, Elemental Ogre, I guess same thing. What got you into games? Like, what was the thing that hooked you? Like, everybody has that, that I just remember the first time or whatever. And then also, what is your role on the show?
Well, I guess it was because when I was in kindergarten, I knew a friend, and he had me come over to his house one time, and I'd never seen a video game at all before. And the first game he showed me was Super Mario Brothers 3, and I was completely enamored with the whole thing.
Huh. Okay.
And then after that, my dad got a NES system with Super Mario Brothers 3 for his birthday, but it was one of those, like, we got it for him, but it's really for the kids kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I just kind of fell in love with it. It was especially easy when you went garage sailing and found video games for like 25 cents each.
Yeah,
Most
very
of my
nice.
collection is from garage sailing.
Very nice. So,
go ahead. That was pretty much it for that. As for my role on the show, I'm more or less a color commentator. I'm just there to make to say funny things and make people laugh.
All right, and that's also, you're sort of the color commentary on the YouTube with Naka, correct?
Ooh, I rib him good, I'll tell you that much.
All right. Okay, great. So now Golix, same thing, same questions.
My first video gaming experience was my uncle let us borrow long-term his NES when I was very young with Mario Brothers and a few other games. I think we got Mario 3 and stuff, and I don't know, it's always been fun for me, and I never had tons and tons of friends growing up, so it was something I could do with my time, and I even got a chance to spend some time with my parents doing that, which normally didn't do a whole ton of stuff aside from, family things. So that was nice, and it's something that you can do to take up time and a lot of the time there's interesting stories and things. Sorry, I feel like I'm rambling a bit.
No, you're fine. That's totally fine. That's what I'm hoping to hear. Just kind of, what got you into it. I'm seeing a pattern here that basically you guys. I mean, and I know this from listening to your show, but you love that kind of platformy, twitchy kind of game, right? Like, I mean, it sounds like, because it's like Mario this and that, and I'm not saying that's bad. My gaming background is different. I'm more of a PC gamer and computer gamer, and I love console games. But a lot of the enthusiasm I hear on your show is a lot of sort of like it seems like Japanese imports, and it seems like games like Shovel Knight are right up your alley. I could be wrong. Yeah. So
I like RPGs too,
yeah.
And there are other kinds of games. It's just my first experiences were with platformers, and I'm still fond of those, even if I'm not always. But the main things I don't like are like first-person shooters, which I'm just not very good at. I have a hard time getting the sense of self in there.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Although maybe that's partially also because, I guess, in terms of my role on the show, I guess my biggest thing is that I'm kind of the Nintendo expert, and also I sometimes have opinions on other series too, and I try to help out during the topic of discussion.
All right, so being a Nintendo expert, what do you think of the Super Mario Maker?
I'm really excited to see what people do with it. And some of the things that they've shown off that you can do are things like, well, what if you could use a Koopa shell as a power-up on your head? That would be neat. I don't know if I have the right kind of creativity to make tons of levels myself.
Right.
And I hope not just everybody goes and makes like Kaizo Scrap levels that are completely impossible. I hope there are levels that are challenging but still fun. Yes, I also apparently am the person on the show who is good with languages and with foreign people names, because sometimes we have trouble with foreign names.
And when you're into Japanese imports, that can be really helpful. So
I've actually been able to play a few Japanese import games without translation.
So is like we're about to get to Petty Fan, but is Galix is like one of your dreams to go to, and I'm going to say this wrong, Akihabara in Tokyo? Is that like?
I think that would be super awesome, but also kind of terrifying because I'm not as good at understanding Japanese when I hear it as I am when I read it.
All right, because there's, for people who don't know, and I'm pretty sure I'm getting it right, Akihabara is the electronics district of Tokyo.
Yes.
Where you can it's like, a video game geek's dream, to go through there. I actually went to Tokyo and didn't go by. I wasn't like super huge into console games at the time, and I heard people talking about Akihabara, but I never made it. So my bad. If I could travel back in time, I would. Petty Fan, same thing. What got you into video games to the level that you want to do a show about them, and what is your role on the show?
What got me into video games was, back in the day, my mom used to play Pac-Man a lot, so she got a Sega Genesis for the family. One of the Pac-Man games was Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, okay.
I loved it.
Yep.
Like, I still have that cartridge even though I've wore it out. It's sitting up on my shelf as a memento.
So are you one of those people that claims that Sonic is superior to Mario?
What do you mean claims? Everyone should know that fact by now.
Perfect. Great. That's the perfect answer, Petty Fan. All right, I love video game trash talking. So feel free to engage upon it in this show. So, all right, guys, let me ask. I want to figure out how you put the show together. Is you sound like you had meetings and things like that, and how you line up your guests and how hard it is. But Adam, why, if I'm into video games, and the reason I wanted to have y'all on the show is because, you do a good podcast and you also go deep in some areas that other podcasts don't. Why, if I'm into video games, but I don't know anything about your podcast, why am I going to go listen to your podcast? Like, why do what are people going to get out of it that they won't get anywhere else?
Like, that's a bit of a hard one to quantify. But, it's like, I suppose as far as guests are concerned, you're probably, not going to get the mix that you get on our show that you do elsewhere. Like I said, we are, I guess you could classify a general type of game show in the sense that we don't have just RPG guys or platformer guys or, just one type of game showcased on our program. As I said, we run the gamut, platformers. Just this past week, we featured a game called Hegemony 3, which is an action RTS strategy game like Civilization.
Okay.
It's like, we try to eschew doing common video game podcast tropes like what you've been playing or the video game news.
Right.
We prefer a more in-depth discussion about, a franchise, a character, a topic that's going through the headlines versus about just blandly relating what's been going on during any given week.
Okay. And, go ahead.
Yeah. It's, our personalities, it's like, I don't know, guys, what would you say is our most unique selling points?
I think when we have guests, you particularly do a good job of asking questions about them that I don't think always get asked that much. I think we learn interesting things behind why things happen that don't necessarily always come up when you're talking about specific products.
Fair enough. Also one thing that I think that distinguishes, which a lot of people probably don't know, and I want to make sure we get into this, you do your show live.
Yeah,
it's on TalkShoe.
We're live?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's live, and there's the chat room. Occasionally, you'll interact with the chat room, and I've seen the chat room throw out questions and that sort of thing. So it's a live show. You've also, like I said, one thing that I like about it is I like your banter before y'all go into the interview. It's amazing to me how riveted I am by what's going to happen with the yard work. I mean, seriously, it sounds like I'm mocking it. I'm not. It's like, what's going to happen next? Is the city going to leave them alone, kind of thing? And it's just funny that I like to hear that stuff. And then, also, it's not just video games. It's almost always video games. But I remember one time y'all were talking to a guy who imported anime, or I believe that was with the company that, worked with to import entertainment, if I remember right. It wasn't that long ago. It was a British guy, if I remember right. Does that ring a bell?
I'm thinking you're talking about like one of our it was a localizer we had on last year, Sion King of New Entertainment.
Was that what it was? Okay.
Yeah, they localized Dojin games.
Okay, that's what it was. Yeah, he would scour sort of cons in Japan to find cool games that the big publishers weren't doing, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was him. All right. Well, guys, we're about to have to wrap up. One of my favorite things to say on the show is the time is a predator that stalks us all our lives, and time goes so quick. Well, real quick, how can people find you? And then I've got to take the last couple of minutes of the show and wrap up. But how can people find Fragments of Silicon?
All right, well, let's see. There's our main page at msp.starshipmoonhawk.com. That's where you go to find out who we're going to have on any given week. We've got the live site at TalkShoe. It's talkshoe.com/PC/130336. We use that site because it's the best we can get while still remaining an audio podcast.
Gotcha.
We've had discussions about going to video, but they haven't panned out yet. And you can also find us, the recorded version, either on the TalkShoe site or on iTunes.
All right.
Like, if you go into the iTunes store and type in Fragments of Silicon, you will find our entire library there.
Okay, and I just want to throw out real quick. Go ahead.
Also, we have a Steam group on the Steam gaming service.
Okay.
Just go to the community page, and in the where it says Find Groups, just type in Fragments of Silicon, and you'll find our Steam group.
Okay, cool. Hey, guys, I'm going to have to let you go. Also, don't forget to follow, and it's on the show notes. Adam's Twitter is Shard Shinjuku, and you've got to watch his Twitter when Toonami is on. It is free entertainment. Guys, thanks so much, and good luck as Fragments of Silicon continues. Listen, folks, thanks for listening. Next week, Gene Turnbow, founder and program director of Krypton Radio, sci-fi for your Wi-Fi, will be our guest. And don't forget, Shane Place is also now going to be carried on Krypton Radio. KryptonRadio.com, sci-fi for your Wi-Fi. Listen, thanks so much for listening. I appreciate everybody who does. Hope you enjoy this show. I certainly enjoy doing it. I'm a geek. I love to talk about it. It's a great time to be a geek. Matter of fact, the River City Comic Expo I went to last week and broadcast from live had an attendance of 6,000. That's 3% of the city of Little Rock. And it was huge. Little Rock was like, I won't be able to do it. And it did it. It's just a great time to be a geek. We'll catch you next week right here on Shane Plays Radio, a journey into the things we love.